So while your attention was elsewhere, no, seriously, the last 3 weeks now, we have been all paying attention to this so-called budget standoff, or, you know, the government shutting down and all this kind of stuff. What we haven't been talking about is this new model of capitalism, which has taken hold of America as a consequence of Reaganomics. Now, the two things apropos of that. The first is Ted Cruz. Somebody asked him, well, what did you get out of this budget, shutting down the government? And he said, we saw, first of all, millions of American people rising up across this country, over 2 million people signing a national petition to defund Obamacare. In other words, he harvested 2 million email addresses. He also took in $797,000 in contributions, Ted Cruz, as a result of this shutting down the government. And the Heritage Action Fund, the Heritage Foundation's PAC, they took in $330,000 so far. And with that 2 million email addresses, they'll be able to go back every month and say, hey, how about another $10? $10 from 2 million people? If all of them gave $10, and some will give 20 and some will give nothing, so let's say that they all gave on average $10, because some will give 200 and some will, and maybe 10 will give nothing. $10 a person, 2 million addresses, that's $20 million a month that Ted Cruz could be bringing in as a result of having shut down our government. So he shuts down the government, and meanwhile, 2,033 civilian employees were laid off. These are people who, man the food shops around the national parks, or people whose business depends on tourism around the Statue of Liberty, that kind of thing. 883,392 actual government employees got laid off. $206 million worth of supplemental food assistance to women, infant, and children in severe need. These are the desperately poor and high-risk children. $206 million worth of food was not given to them over the last 2.5 weeks. $2,982 million in unpaid salaries. So that's what happened. But this new model of capitalism, the thing I really wanted to riff on, this was invented in large part, I would submit to you, by Walmart and the companies that were following the Walmart model. Now, I don't know if Walmart invented it, but they certainly have perfected it. And we used to think this was just a Walmart problem. And here's how the business model works. We will do business in a way that will make a profit for us, but it will also generate some costs. But the public will pay for those costs. So tax dollars will pay for the costs that are created by our doing business the way that we do, and we get to keep all the profits. Now, to the best of my knowledge, there is not a good name for this kind of capitalism, which is a real shame, because this is the new American capital model. Now, it's been going on for a long, long time. You've heard me a million times say, the mission of business is to internalize profits, externalize costs. Keep the profits in the company, put the costs on the people. And you could go all the way back to John Rockefeller's oil wells in Ohio in the 1880s. Standard Oil in New Jersey in the 1890s. I mean, to this day, the Koch brothers refining oil in Michigan and Chicago, and refining the tar sands crude, and ending up with these huge piles of waste that, when the wind blows, just go downwind into largely poor African-American communities and pollute the air. They keep the profit, we get the trash. But the way that Walmart did it was, Walmart keeps the profit, And they pay their employees so little that their employees are literally impoverished. They literally are living below or at or near to the poverty line. And as a consequence, their employees are eligible for food stamps and housing assistance and heating assistance in the winter and Medicare, or Medicaid rather. And so we are subsidizing their employees. They pay their employees $7, $8, $9 an hour. It's not enough to live on. You really need, $10, $11, $12 an hour to live on. I mean, $12 an hour is what the minimum wage was in 1968. And back in 68, most of the people working for the minimum wage were young people just entering the job market. So to make up that difference between the $9 an hour that they're paid and the $12 or $13 or $14 or $15 an hour that it actually costs to live, people are getting benefits from the government. Which means you and I are subsidizing the workers at Walmart. And we've seen where, one study was done that showed that just one Walmart store basically sucked up about $1 million a year in benefits for its employees. So every Walmart store is costing us, the taxpayers, say $1 million a year. Well, here comes this new study. This is just amazing. This is from the University of California, Berkeley Center for Labor Research and Education. Ken Jacobs is the spokes guy for this. And he says that the wages of America's fast food chains are so low. Now, this is just the fast food industry. I'm not talking about Walmart anymore. This is what I'm pointing out is that this is spreading, this form of the vampire capitalism. Right, and they have their fangs into the bloodstream of we the people, into our tax dollars. America's fast food chains are paying so little to their employees that their employees used, and now they looked at the years 2007 through 2011, so this is a 4-year study, good solid study, $7 billion a year that you and I are paying in taxes that gets shifted to the workers of these fast food restaurants. They said the 10 chains, this is the National Employment Law Project, found the 10 chains with 2.25 million workers. This is about 60% of the no benefit business model, they call this. Just these 10 chains. This is McDonald's, Yum Brands, which is Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, KFC, Subway, Burger King, Wendy's, Dunkin' Donuts, Dairy Queen, Little Caesars, Sonic, and Domino's. Okay, just those 10 companies have 2.5 million workers. Their workers took $3.8 billion in benefits, public benefits. We subsidized those companies, those 10 companies, to the tune of $3.8 billion. The executives at those companies made more than $53 million in compensation, and $7.7 billion was paid in dividends and buybacks to their shareholders. So they show a $7.5 billion profit, and we kick in $3.8 billion so that their employees can stay alive and come to work every day. This doesn't even count the other, I've always talked about, the cost of providing a workforce where people can actually spell and read and write and add and run an adding machine and, public roads that they can drive to work on, and all of these things that these corporations should be paying for that they're, by and large, typically not, because they figure out these tax dodge schemes, these tax avoidance schemes, or they come into town and they say, oh yeah, we'll create jobs here, but give us 10 years no taxes, or give us some free land or something like that. Do you have an idea for a name for this kind of capitalism? I'm trying to name it, and I need a name.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
So, vampire capitalism is where I started, but there's got to be a better name. Anyhow, we'll be back with your thoughts on this. Stick around.